Good morning. It's Tuesday the 22nd of September and it's a beautiful day, and we've come to the National Waterways Museum at Gloucester Dock, and we've just done a tour around, and we'll put together a little vlog of our visit. The city of Gloucester lies on the River Severn, Britain's longest river. It flows for 220 miles from the Cambrian Mountains to the Bristol Channel. The river and its canals linked the industrial Midlands to Gloucester and to the sea. In the 1800s, Gloucester docks were created and became a hub for world trade. The warehouses in the docks were filled with timber, corn, wine, and spirits. Llanthony Warehouse was the largest. It was built in 1873 to house over 5,000 tonnes of grain. In 1988, having fallen into disuse, it was renovated to become the National Waterways Museum. The Severn Trow was a vessel that was specifically designed to navigate the river. The Severn Trow's shallow draft meant that the bottom of the boat did not drag along the riverbed where the water varied in depth. Along with other river barges, the open holds of the Trows carried imports from Bristol up the river to supply the country's industrial heartland. Going upstream, their square sails caught the prevailing wind, powering the boats along. In the museum is a rope replica of an 18th century Severn Trow with a square sail. Gloucester docks developed at the inland terminus of a ship canal opened in 1827 with an entrance on the Severn estuary at Sharpness. The docks had its own community. The chaplain of the Mariners' Chapel provided services for visiting seamen, dock workers and their families. Gloucester Docks was a popular filming location in the 1970s for Captain Baines's Aneirin line. As well as for trade, Gloucester Docks and the River Severn have long been important places for boat building and boat repairs. By the late 1700s, canals were built with towpaths suitable for horses, and for many people the enduring canal image became one of a heavy horse keeping a slow, steady pace as it dragged along the waterborne cargo. Canals in the Midlands were narrow, so vessels were specifically designed to fit through the waterways and locks. Narrow boats were 70 foot long and just 7 feet wide, with a very small cabin. Long distance boats had a cabin fitted out to a standard design for a family of 4, with some boats carrying a wash tub and a wringer. They were often overcrowded. Records show as many as 8 people sharing one small cabin. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, clothing was functional yet distinctive. Boatmen wore trousers, a collarless shirt, waistcoat, bright neckerchief and a flat cap. Boatwomen wore a blouse, long skirt and apron. Their heads were covered with a bonnet and a shawl would often be tied around their shoulders. Children wore a version of the adult clothes. Lace making was popular and put to decorative use on clothes and in boat cabins, while small lace hats were also used on horses' ears to keep irritating flies at bay. To personalise cramped spaces, they decorated them in a flamboyant style known as roses and castles. Decorations didn't stop with the cabins. Everyday objects from water cans to cabin stools were customised with the vibrant pattern. This next object is of particular interest to me. It's a Mexican teapot from 1887, which was popular amongst boatmen and women for their relatives and usually bought while they were plying the Ashby Canal. The traditional way of life and work on the waterways slowly disappeared once rail transport and road transport took over, and many of the waterways were allowed to fall into disrepair. That is until there was renewed interest in them during the 1940s. Waterways are now primarily for leisure enthusiasts. This cruiser from the 1960s is an example of a family holiday craft from the later part of the 20th century, just like the Swamp Duck, which was built in 1973. It has always been my intention to restore the Swamp Duck, but not to change it, and to keep it looking as it would have done when it was built. There are certainly some strong resemblances to this boat in the museum. On the quayside next to the museum, you can see a number of vessels from the collection. This is one of Europe's last working steam dredgers. She was built in Holland in 1925 and worked for 56 years on the Gloucester and Sharpness Canal, dredging mud to keep the waterways open. This is a steam-operated dock crane. This is Queen Boadicea II, built in 1936 as a Thames river cruiser. The museum certainly has an eclectic mixture of items from the history of the British waterways.